All right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right, I want to do a quick video. Lord's willing, it's going to be quick. I just want to talk about, the prophecy, okay, at the time of Jacob's trouble, okay, which, like we've been taught, by our elder apostles and elder bishops, that at this time we are in Jacob's trouble, but it has yet to magnify. All right. So it has yet to reach its full swing, so to speak, its full bloom. All right. Now, this is a prophecy that we're on the brink of, of course we're in Jacob's trouble, but it's going to fully escalate, and I believe, looking at the way things are right now, that it's going to happen very soon. We could be counting down weeks or even days possibly until, all hell breaks loose, okay? Because we know that it's in the prophecies, all right? So I have this brother's video pulled up. This is from the brother GMS in his likeness, all right? You see the brother's name right here, Damawathia Bon Loya, so a Levite brother, and Shalom to the brother. If he may see this video, I know, my videos don't get, a bunch of views or nothing, but, it still is a possibility he may see it. So, of course, Shalom, to the brother, and, Shalom to all you brothers out there, and you few sincere sisters, So, anyways, this brother had a hell of a, I don't want to say hell of a, a heaven of a, you want to say? I don't know, the brother had a very, very heavy prophetic vision from Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, all right? And I won't spoil it, all right, because I suggest you brothers watch it, okay? I didn't finish the whole lesson that he did. I kind of watched about the first 20, 22, 23 minutes, where he, explained the dream that he had and, gave a little commentary. It's, he did an hour-long lesson on it, so I didn't get to check all of it out. Maybe I'll come back to it later, Lord's willing. All right. But yeah, so he had a vision of America being invaded. All right. So, I won't give any spoilers, man. But it was very heavy, and I've been watching videos about, Jacob's trouble and, all hell breaking loose, which is prophetic and it is going to happen. Been kind of watching these videos lately, watching these lessons, like you can see I got my my queue pulled up here, right? I was watching this one up top by the elder Muwatzak, at night prophecy watch. I was watching that on the way to work. I want to watch, Lord's willing, I'll get around to it, this one by GMS All Precepts, the elder in North Carolina, the elder Ashayar, I believe. It's his Hebrew name. I want to watch that lesson as well. I was watching the brother Arya Kayal. He had put up a lesson, foreign soldiers are about to invade this place. Good lesson, great lesson. Of course, Shalom to all those brothers, the elders, if they may possibly see this video, And then I got a video from this guy, Prepper Dog. He looks like an Edomite, I think. I could be biased, but I think he is possibly a Jake. He brings out like a scripture of the day in every one of his videos, so he has that zeal, and that makes me think he's a Jake. You don't have Edomites that are sincerely into the Bible like that. They always have some ulterior motive because they're not the Lord's people. If you have an Edomite that's all into the Bible, he's all into the Most High and his son, and he's really sincere, yeah, that's a Jake, more than likely, So anyways, but he posted a video coming at us like a freight train. And this dude, excuse me, this dude is a prepper. All right. So he, his thing is not, let me say the Lord got me. I'm going to try and stockpile guns and Campbell's chicken noodle soup. And, I'm going to have ready to eat meals and, and by the way, all that is you're basically banking on you being just kicking back at the crib when all hell breaks loose. Who's to say you're not going to be at work? Who's to say you're not going to be out running errands? Who's to say, you're not going to be out cheating on your wife? I'm just kidding. Men can't cheat. A man is allowed to have multiple women according to the scriptures. Adultery is when you get with another man's woman, or when a woman who is married and sex is marriage goes out and gets with another man. That's adultery. Okay, as long as her husband is still living. So I just threw that in there to be funny or whatever. Of course, get down how you get down. As long as it's not adultery. But anyways, you being a prepper, you saying that you're basically banking on the assumption that you're going to be sitting at home on the couch drinking a beer when an EMP goes off. That's not a safe assumption. You may be very far away from home when all hell breaks loose. And what then? So your only option is the Lord, is to trust in the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and to do the things which are pleasing unto him so that he will save you. Okay? But yeah, I just, the Spirit has been heavy on me, to focus on the time of Jacob's trouble, And I had something spiritual happen to me, a few days ago, and I had did a little lesson about it. I was praying, that the Most High send an EMP attack, and that the Most High shut this grid down and bring about Jacob's trouble in full swing, and give brothers the spiritual power, give brothers angels all around us, give brothers, the benefit of Isaiah 4:1, because, brothers got, we got wish lists, man. Enough said, man, so I was praying for that, right? That the Most High just shut this whole system down. And then the next day at work, I go into one of the little, one-person bathrooms, to pray like I always do. I go in the bathroom and just pray by myself, lock the door, whatever. And as I go in there to pray, before I, turn and face the east, the you just hear, and just the lights shut out. It was a power outage, right as I'm praying, after I had been praying to the Lord to bring about, a grid shutdown. The power goes out at my job, and it stayed out, for the whole rest of the workday, so I thought that was very spiritual, I thought that was the Lord, and I believe that was the Lord doing that, I know it was the Lord doing that because the Most High controls everything, But anyway, I'm sorry for rambling. I've been going on a long time and have not brought out a precept, so Salakia for that. Let's get Revelation 1:3. It says, "Blessed is he that readeth, and they that keep the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand." The time is at hand, right now, okay? At the end, this is the end of the world. Okay, the scripture tells us to measure the time diligently in itself, all right? Second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then, he being the angel, me being Esdras, not saying I'm Esdras, I'm not, I'm saying, the angel answered Esdras and said, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made," right? So we're measuring the time diligently, and we're looking for the signs, which are what? The prophecies, okay? So we're seeing these prophecies come to pass, all right? We're hearing wars and rumors of wars, right? Earthquakes in diverse places. Okay, let's read on. It says, "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made," which is right now. He's visiting this place, all right? Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Earthquakes, who else spoke about that? Yahweh Shai, okay? Uproars of the people in the world, right? A lot of protests, riots, insurrections, okay? Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, okay? For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful signs, and endings in effects and signs. All right? And then verse 7 it says, it's talking about the elect, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works. So you got to do the work, and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, Jacob's trouble, and the nuclear destruction, right? And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning, right? The Apostle Paul spoke in Ephesians, the first chapter, about the elect being chosen before the foundation of the earth. Those are the elect spirits, okay? The 144,000 elect prophets who are the governing body in the kingdom of heaven to come, as well as which they are also the angels that were with Yahushua in the beginning, the Alahayim. Okay, God, as it were, in Genesis, all right, the first chapter, okay? In the beginning, God, the powers, the Alahayim, the angels, led by Yahushua, created, the heavens and the earth, okay? So that's who's going to get saved out of this, the elect. The 144,000, and then the 1/3 here in Babylon the Great, and then the rest of the scattered elect scattered abroad, okay? But anyways, yeah, the Lord is, he's showing us, like, it's right about to happen. I'm right about to make all hell break loose, okay? And I want to bring this out too. Excuse me, this is from the New York Post. Now, with the New York Post and sources like this, you got to take it with a grain of salt. All right, you got to be a little bit, you got to remember that these news outlets, they, like the New York Post is sensationalist. All right, they're trying to get you to click. It's, so they want your, they want to do a clickbait title to get your attention, to make you click so that you watch their ads and they get paid. All right, so, but at the same time, you chew the meat and spit out the bones, so to speak, okay? So we're going to read this. We're going to take it with a grain of salt. But also you got to remember that whether or not these specific articles about certain things like sleeper cells or EMP attacks, or whether or not Iran has drones in Cuba, look, at the end of the day, we have a more sure word of prophecy, okay? We know for a certainty, we know for 100% certain that all hell is going to break loose because it says so in the Bible, all right? All right, so 2 Peter 1:19, and where does it say that? Jeremiah 30:7, Daniel 12:1, okay, St. Matthew 24, which is also, part of it's talking about, 70 AD, but it's also, it applies to today, a lot of it, okay? 2 Ezra 15, 2 Ezra 16, all right? But this is 2 Peter 1:19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. All right, so we have a more sure word of prophecy. So we know that these prophecies are going to take place. We know that, shit is going to hit the fan, so to speak. Excuse my French, So, yeah, this is definitely going to happen, So anyway, let's go back to this article. It says, sleeper agents poised to wage war in California put U.S. on high alert as map of their top targets emerges. All right. You got to remember, these Iranians, this is like an ancient, like sacred holy war to them. All right. They are not, bullshitting around. Okay. The U.S. and Israel killed their beloved leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini. All right. That's a huge deal. And they're saying they want to avenge his blood by killing Trump and his family. You see that? So this is no joke, man. These people are not fucking around. All right. Excuse my language. And they got China and Russia backing them, okay? And we know when you go into, Ezekiel 38, it lays out the main two sides in World War III, the War of Armageddon. Now, we know ultimately, pursuing to, the book of Joel, the second and third chapter, that the Most High is going to gather all nations down. Let's actually get that. All right, so it's not going to be just, America and Israel versus Russia and Iran, right? But you're going to have all your relevant modern military powers down there, okay? Joel 3:1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, so in the time when the Most High is going to bring his people, the Israelites, out of captivity, which were still in captivity, okay? It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, the Most High's judgment, and will plead with them there. I will judge them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So the Most High is going to bring them there and judge them. Let's get that word plead. Okay. The word is Shaphat. Okay, Shaphat. It means to judge. Okay, to judge, govern, vindicate, punish. All right. Most High is going to judge these nations. Okay, and their armies. All right. So yeah. And they want to get at you so-called American people. All right, so this is back in the NY Post. It says, California's sprawling network of military installations, federal facilities, and immigration enforcement sites could become flashpoints under a nationwide mobilization plan drawn up by activists with ties to Cuba, according to an alarming new State Department report. The plan outlines coordinated nationwide actions within 24 hours if there is an imminent threat or a U.S. military move against Cuba, which, they already shut off the oil supply to Cuba. So it's been like Jacob's trouble in Cuba, I was listening actually to the elder Muwatazak. He did a lesson on that not too long ago. He does good lessons, and, he talks a lot about, all hell breaking loose, which that's kind of one of my, I don't want to say favorite. It is kind of one of my favorite topics, because it's going to be, when it happens, and it's going to happen soon, that's going to, people are going to know that this is coming from on high. There's not just this level of chaos and calamity and death, and it just came from, human error or, a war. No, it's going to be absolutely known that the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, is doing this. There has to be a higher power that's creating all this death and destruction, So anyway, Slaki, just, giving my little 2 cents. All right, it says, come on, man. All right. It says, organizers would focus on military buildings, recruitment offices, federal buildings, ICE facilities, and even sports arenas during big events, the documents say. All right, it says the National Network on Cuba, which created the Rapid Response Plan, brings together over 50 groups, including the Democratic Socialists of America, Communist Party USA, and Code Pink. So I'm not sure what that's about, all right? It says the DSA is active in California politics, especially in Los Angeles, where its local chapter has supported several elected officials, City Hall, blah, blah, blah. All right. It says the report highlights former Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who have had ties to Cuba for decades, including Bass's work with the Venceremos Brigade, a group that took Americans to communist Cuba for work, education, and political exchanges. Okay, Bass traveled to Cuba. Let's see. All right. It says the 99-page report published Monday paints a much broader picture of what officials describe as a decades-long Cuban influence network operating through activist organizations, political movements, and other groups inside the U.S. The National Network on Cuba's plan states its goal is to make it politically and materially costly for the U.S. government to wage war on Cuba, and lays out potential actions that could be launched rapidly across the country. Right. Okay, so it's interesting, something to think about. We know that that all hell is going to break loose because why? Like we just read, we have a more sure word of prophecy. All right, so let's go. 2 Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So part of prophecy is all hell breaking loose here in Babylon the Great, and as well as in the rest of the world, okay? Verse 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Yeah, because our people buck up. They laugh, they scoff, they mock, they scorn. They call us, bums and grapists and PDF files and all manner of wickedness, beginning with, our elder apostles and elder bishops. They call them all types of, horrible shit, and they're going to have to pay for that, The Lord is going to leave them here and melt them in America, like it says in Ezekiel. So anyway, verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Right. You don't believe in the gospel. You don't believe in the truth. Then you're going to have to go, and you'll come back in the kingdom. You're an Israelite. You'll be a ruler or a princess, a king or a princess. And if you're a heathen, then, you didn't have any hope anyway. You're going to be a slave, all right? Verse 5, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right, you got all types of alphabet people. These women are all complete whores, which means adulteresses. They all, commit adultery, lay down with multiple men. These men get off on getting with another man's woman. It's just a sick, faggot thing to do, These people are all sick, and they got to go, The Most High is going to, he's going to take the trash out, so to speak, Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. So no more letting it slide, no more, delaying the punishment that's coming. All right, he's going to bring that punishment, and it's going to be horrible, okay? It's going to be righteous, but it's going to be, wow. It's going to be like, whoa. When the elect see the 2/3 getting punished, Lord's will were of the elect, we're going to be like, whoa, but the Lord's going to have such a cold spirit on us to where we're going to understand, like, they had it coming. They were asking for this, all right? It says, behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Okay, that's the elect. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. That's talking about spiritual Sodom and Egypt, America. Okay, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten, with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. All right? Excuse me. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with the fearful constellation. Okay, this, the farmers, right? It's going to be a great famine. Okay? Woe to the world, meaning destruction to the world, and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, guns, modern day sword, right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, meaning their authorities, right? Government, And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. It's going to be complete anarchy. All right. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. This is what we're coming up into. We're going to live these prophecies firsthand, but fret not, you sincere brothers and sisters out there of the hopeful elect. You worry about staying faithful. You just keep fearing the Most High and doing what you have to do, and he's going to get you up out of this. All right. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. He is the elect. All right. So, yeah, with that, I hope that was edifying. Actually, let's go back, finish. Well, that really was it. That really was it from 2nd Ezra 15. The first 19 verses is kind of what we wanted to bring out from that. It's a great chapter. It goes into also the Carmenians raging, which is the Iranians. And we're seeing that right now. So yeah, we're coming up into this thing, man. So now is the time to be more prayed up than ever. And just hope and pray for mercy, so, hey, with that, all praise to, and I'll put this brother's video up on the screen. All right, this is from GMS in his likeness. All right, subscribe, watch this video. All right, great vision, or a terrible vision, really, but a great video, that the brother did on it. The Lord gave me a vision of America being invaded. All right, so with that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. All praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kudash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom.